Is there any discernible progress on a ceasefire in Gaza, which would, frankly, conflict with the cabinet decision that Israel took Sunday night, calling up the recruits, but which there has been intensive diplomacy, as we understand, including by Mr. Witkoff, his hostage release and ceasefire. And I do have a follow-up on that.
Sure. Well, we cannot speak to the ongoing negotiations, but I will note that recent statements by Qatar and Egypt that they're continuing to engage in pursuit of an agreement, and Ambassador Witkoff, of course, and his team are continuing as well. None of that has stopped. So there's action that goes on, but our focus, again, remains clear. I know and part of the issue of the transparency of this administration is that, I think previously you wouldn't necessarily know exactly what was happening and how it's going on. Well, this is the nature of it, right? These are individuals committed to it, and they continue to address it. And of course, worth repeating, Hamas bears sole responsibility for the war and for the resumption of hostilities and for the continuing difficulty in that realm. And we want peace. We want the ceasefire. We want peace. And we remain having to say we want a release of all the hostages.
And to that point, there is a lot of discussion about the Israeli plan for providing food through a hub that would be distributed by the military to avoid Hamas and other gangs.
Sure.
If there are non-Hamas gangs, I don't know what they are, but gangs taking food. There's resistance at the United Nations. Where does the U.S. stand, not on negotiations, but on the issue of how to get food in? Because the president has expressed concern about the starvation and other medical needs.
Yeah, he's been very forceful over the last couple of weeks about what needs to happen, about how the Gazan people have been, I think it's an understatement to say that they've been treated horribly by Hamas. And what I can tell you is that there is for those of you, I'm sure you've seen some elements of this, that as President Trump called for creative solutions that would secure peace, protect Israel, and leave Hamas empty-handed and help Gazans, and due to his inspirational leadership, we are steps away from that solution, from being able to deliver the aid and the food that has been discussed. I was hoping to introduce it today, but the foundation will be announcing this shortly. While we don't have anything to announce in specifics in this regard today, and I will not speak on behalf of the foundation, which will be doing the work, we welcome moves to quickly get urgent food aid into Gaza in a way, and this is, you've heard me remark on this repeatedly, in a way that the food aid actually gets to those to whom it's intended. It cannot fall into the hands of terrorists such as Hamas, and we support a plan to get in aid right now and urge others to do so as well. Once again, a situation where the status quo continues to fail, and we required new visionary ideas. President Trump said earlier, we are going to help the people of Gaza because they are being treated very badly by Hamas. We are taking care of it. And this is, in the moment, something that looks like it's going to solve all of those issues.
Is this a non-governmental foundation?
Correct.
And it is not UN?
I don't want to say anything else.
Okay. But it's not at the Israeli military?
What I will not say anything else about the details. What I can say regarding the UN, as you've intimated, has had some problems, but endless press releases and Hamas appeasement have not delivered food, medicine, or shelter to those who need it. This is a new approach with one focus: get help to people right now. We've had the conversations every time I've been in here, and even on the days that we're not in here, about the suffering and the problems that we faced, and this is a dynamic that will help solve that. It would be, to say the least, disappointing to let this opportunity to improve Gazan lives go and fail as well as the other efforts have been also.
And with your indulgence, the president mentioned in the Oval Office the other day that it's his understanding that there are 21, not 24, alive hostages in the 59, I guess, which includes those who have died, been murdered. That has not been clarified. Is that the
Well,
number
this is,
that
yes, I can't speak to, the president, of course, speaks for himself. There's
or is that the office
information
the
that he has, the nature of what his remarks will be. I won't be speaking about that or speculating on the nature of what information he has, which is clearly a heck of a lot more than I have. But we do know of just the horrific result of this dynamic as we ask for hostages to come home, often which they come home in body bags. It's unacceptable, and it must end. And I see Nadia, your hand. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Tammy. Just to follow up on Andrea's question first, and have another question. Mr. Witkoff has briefed the Security Council members. What exactly are you looking for? Is it financial support, political support? Because you have China and Russia on it. Are they going to be involved partly on this new Gaza charitable fund?
Well, that was a conversation that was private, and I'm not going to go into details of what was discussed, as I wouldn't, as you know, with any kinds of diplomatic conversations between leadership. But yes, that conversations occurred, but I cannot give you any of those details.
But you don't want the UN, I mean not the UN, but the member states to play a role in delivering food or even donating money towards that?
Well, discussing the mechanisms of what happens here will be more than appropriate when this is announced by the foundation and the details are there, and then I will be more than happy to then go into a framework of answering questions about what certain things mean. But in order to do that, I would be getting ahead of the announcement, and I think that certainly is a mistake, but we can get those details, certainly.
Okay, great. Can I ask you about Saudi?
We'll go here, and
Sure.
we'll come back around.
Sorry, just to follow up on that.
Of course.
You've mentioned a few times the foundation. Is this the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation based in Switzerland? People have found that this has been established. I don't think. I was trying to understand the relationship. If that's the foundation, what's the relationship?
Well, I would encourage. This is the charitable Gaza Foundation. That we, of course, as you know, has already been in the news. It's out a bit. It has not been announced officially. I would think it's a mistake to try to guess at or speculate. It's coming up soon. There's no reason to try to guess. And then when they make their announcement, you'll have the details you need.
before the check?
Oh, I can't tell you that at this point.
But we're seeing this Swiss-based foundation. You keep mentioning a foundation, so I think it's understandable that people are jumping to that being the basis.
Well, it shouldn't be, because that requires speculation and guessing. And if I'm not going to say whether it is or is not, but I'm not a fan of speculating and guessing. And I know you've got jobs to do that. Sometimes you'll look for information where you can pull those threads together, but that's not what we're going to do here. All right? All right. Yes, sir. Nick.
Thanks. On Iran, there's new reporting today on a previously undisclosed facility that's being used as part of Iran's nuclear program. I want to get your reaction to that and what impact you think that might have on the ongoing nuclear talks.
I can say a little bit of something on that. You won't like it. It won't be a lot. You won't wear down your pencil. We have seen those reports and have no comment. So it's I know, but reiterating, of course, which I think you also have written down somewhere, I'm sure, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and the president has said this repeatedly.
Do you think with hidden sites, though, that's an indication of how the lack of forthcoming Iran has been on talks and whether or not this could be a hiccup?
Well, there are very smart people having those conversations. The world knows what Iran has been doing, and there's a reason why we're now trying to talk with them to change the trajectory of what goes on. And, of course, as the president has said and as the secretary has said about the Russia-Ukraine dynamic, is that we look at actions as opposed to words. And in this case, the experts and the negotiators, the ambassadors, the special envoys, they all know the environment and the dynamic, and I'm sure this adds into it for them. Yes, sir.
On Iran, is there any new information about the upcoming meeting between the Iranians and Americans? And do you know where it's going to be held?
I'm sorry, the
fourth round of meetings between Iran and the US?
Oh, the fourth round. I really don't have a comment on that at this point. What we do know is previously, Ambassador Witkoff has noted that something will be happening in the future, that the details are not available. This is something that we know there's, again, there's continual work on this, and he's, we know that, I can't even say that, that he has said, again, we don't have any specifics at this point, and I don't have any comment. All right, yes, sir.
Thank you, Tammy. I have two questions. One very quick about Gaza and.
So I have no comment. Oh no, so keep going. Keep
my
going.
second is about the Houthis.
Yes, sir.
About Gaza, you said that the announcement will be soon, but how confident you are that it will be agreed upon by all parties, especially the Israeli part and Hamas in Gaza?
Well, in general, I know that President Trump has created a lot of deals, the best deal maker in the world. He's now, after his first term, very well acquainted with the players in the world and what it takes. He's got the best people around him, as we know. But what I can say specifically here is that about our objective, it remains defending freedom of navigation and American deterrence in the region. President Trump has been clear from the start. Whether how this ends up really is up to the Houthis. We've always said that when they stop, we will stop, and that's where we're at this point when it comes to statements that have been made. President Trump has said, of course, what has happened, as I think all of us can agree, is a positive development, and so that's where we're at. And he said, as I think you'll recall, that the Houthis simply don't want to fight anymore. If there's no additional measures that we would report at this stage, and I think that's really about it. I think we know, again, it's not quiet on all fronts, to say the least, but the development itself is key. And we have people working on all of these issues who have an end goal, which is also a fresh framework from the Trump administration, that there has to be progress, there has to be an end point, and that people work toward that. We've tended to not see those things, and we have here. So I'm looking forward to some key results.
But Houthis are saying that the Israeli ships are not part of any deal.
Oh.
Can you confirm?
Well,
or deny?
I have no comment on that. I suppose we'll find out what happens. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Tammy. Following the demonstrations yesterday from pro-Palestinian protesters in Columbia University's Butler Library, the secretary also treated that the Trump administration would be reviewing the visa status of the individuals involved. Can you say anything more on that? Is that review underway? And if so, have any of the visas been revoked?
Yes, the secretary had noted that regarding the vandalism, the violence, the holding of that room, that those individuals would be looked at regarding their status and what was happening. And I believe that is ongoing. So if there is a dynamic, also he noted that Hamas supporters are not going to remain in this country, and that action would be taken there. So certainly he's been consistent. He means it. And in this particular case, you had people arrested, and that building was reopened. And I think that the nature of our promise that people who are in this country with a visa and who do not follow our laws or affect the nature of what's important to our country when it comes to our foreign policy and national security will be acted on in that regard. And yes, he said it, and I believe him, and that's the word you can take for it, I think.
A question on Syria. I was wondering if you have any reaction to the Syrian Interim Authority appointment of Ahmad al-Hayyas as the commander of a division in northeast Syria. He has been under the U.S. sanctions for serious human rights violation, including the assassination of the Kurdish politician Hafin Khalaf. Is that the kind of action that the United States expects from the Syrian Interim Authority?
Here's what I can tell you is that the interim authority's decision to appoint this individual, who has a long record of human rights abuses and undermining our defeat ISIS mission, to an official position is a serious mistake that the U.S. does not support. All right?